Hello and welcome to this week's social media switch off with me, Trina Kavanagh-Thomas. I am the alternative personal trainer, helping intuitive, spiritual and manifesting coaches become their best self and achieve ultimate health. Today, I'm here with the amazing expert parenting coach and wellbeing expert, Clare Ford. You know what? I have to say, Clare is really fantastic. She's been a massive help to me, not only just as a parent, but also equally just as a human being.
Thank you.
And you know what, I have to say, every time that I'm around you, I just feel just this beautiful light energy that comes from you. And not only that as well, you don't pull any punches. So, but I have to say, those little intuitive kicks up the bottom are the best things. And they do, and I have to say, they do change our lives.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to a few people today, and we were talking about difficult questions. Difficult questions we ask ourselves, difficult questions we ask of other people. And I've got to say, Claire, you're one of those people that definitely said a few difficult things to me, and it kind of made me think, oh God, what am I doing? And it did really kind of shake me into touch, and I'm so glad, and I'm really thankful.
Thank you, darling.
I'm truly thankful, and that's why I feel like I need you to be on here, because it's just so wonderful to share you with everyone else.
Thank you.
And that's what you've been doing.
Oh, well, it's lovely to be here, Trina. It's always a delight to connect with you and, to your lovely community as well. And, everybody's got their own little touch of magic, haven't they, that they bring. And so, even if we're talking about something that maybe other practitioners have talked about, or even things that people do already know or tell their own clients, what I've discovered is that when you hear it again for yourself, when you're the recipient of the information rather than the giver of the information, like we all need that, don't we? However far we are on our journey. So thank you for this opportunity.
And thank you. Just thank you for saying yes, and thank you for being here as well. Claire is going to teach us about some tips just to help us get through. Obviously we've been going through a lockdown at this moment in time, and the second lockdown now. And for many of us, especially women in particular, it's quite difficult. It's quite a difficult situation. Can you just tell us a bit more about what women may be going through during this time?
Well, I think, for me as a mother, 2 teenage boys, and, I'm divorced. So we've got the 2 household situation going on. My mother lives quite far away. So we've got that whole, should we see her? Shouldn't we see her? My partner's mother's got dementia. So she's one of the vulnerable people. So it's, should he see her? Shouldn't he see her? We've got my partner who sometimes has to go up to London. My son's father sometimes has to go up to London. Should they go? Shouldn't they go? Do you isolate afterwards? Like, it's so confusing. In a nutshell, there's just confusion, isn't there? And now with the next lockdown, if you live in Sussex, you might be able to go out to a restaurant, but if you live in Kent, you might not be able to, right? And so it's like, well, what does that really mean? Are we meeting friends in Sussex and going out for dinner, or are they allowed to come to our house, or can we not see anyone? Like, it's just madness, isn't it? So I'm not pretending to get my head around any of that, but what I do know as a mum is that, our priorities is the well-being and safety of our children, right? It's the emotional well-being, and it's making sure that educationally there's a sense of progression. There's not too many gaps, like, are they at school? Aren't they at school? Should I take them out of school? Are we homeschooling? Are we homeschooling with groups that now we can't see? Like, just complete madness, right? So how do we as mums navigate that? How do we hold the space for the conversations that even over the breakfast table are like, oh, you can see your friend today after school. Oh, now you can't see your friend today after school. Like, how's that even logical, right? Like, oh, now you're going to school, now you're not going to school. So-and-so's coming over for granddad's birthday, or now they're not doing that. Like, how can we even make sense of these conversations? Because children are very clever. They're very perspicacious. They pick things up. They sniff out the bullshit, right? So Boris might be able to tell us whatever yada yada, and we sit there at the 10 o'clock news going, oh yeah, okay, we've got to do that. It doesn't wash with children. They're having none of it. They're like, but that's not what you said last week, mummy. And you're like, I know, right? So
so true.
It's so true. So the thing is, the best thing for us to do, I feel, as mums, is to not lie to our kids. Just tell them we don't know. Just tell them
they don't know.
The rules are changing every week, right? Just be honest. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no logical explanation for half the stuff our schools are doing, for half the stuff our communities are doing, for half the stuff our politicians are doing. Like, depending on where you live, there's different rules and regulations for everyone, right? So you just have to be honest and say, do you know what? It's crazy at the moment. I really don't know. You know, we can put that in the diary for your friend to come over next week. They might not be able to come. We really don't know, okay? And just be honest. Just manage those expectations with honesty.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely a key thing, right? Is being honest with yourself. And the thing is, as a mom, and especially when my boys were younger, and especially at Christmas time, and as a teacher, I was a big planner, right? I'm like, right, we're booking this, we're doing that, we're going here, we're meeting them, this restaurant, that restaurant, this theme, that theme, costume, nativity, bish, bash, bosh, all done. We can't do any of that. So we have to release that. We have to release that planning. We have to release that control. We have to release the guilt of our children or our families having a boring time at Christmas.
And you know what? That is so true, because, you know, even, you know, we had a bit of a conversation before we came on for this interview as well. And I was saying, you know, how I went through a bit of a tough time through the first lockdown. My plans totally went out the window, and I'm like a little bit of a control freak, even though I love going with the flow. I think sometimes you have to learn to let go of everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're trying to get here.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to my mum, you know, a couple of weeks ago, and she's always been a very busy person. Like, she loves being busy. She loves socializing. She's a social butterfly. She's a Sagittarian fire sign, and she thrives on all of that. Well, and literally, when I used to go to her house, on her diary, I couldn't see a blank space. There'd be writing in red and writing in green and writing in blue, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how can you keep track of what you need to do, right? Where you need to go. She's got bridge, University of the Third Age, like, she's doing it all, right? She said, for the first time in as many years as she can remember, she has got a blank diary for Christmas.
Wow.
Now, that for some people is really depressing, right? That for some people, there's no reason for them to get out of bed, no reason for them to get dressed. She used to pride herself on her hair and her makeup. She was very glamorous, right? She was in bed the whole day the other day because she had nothing to do, no one to go and see, nothing to get dressed up for. Nowhere to go out to, right? She used to like to kind of puff up her feathers like a peacock, right? And be like, oh, and my children this and my grandchildren that, and, you know, I've got the bridge for, and right? So for people who are very extroverted, right, that thrive on dressing up for the Christmas parties, that thrive on being the loudest at the office parties, right? That's not personally me, but for our fire signs, for our extroverts, right? For our Arians who want to be strutting their stuff, starting off the dancing, none of this stuff is happening. And it's important to be mindful of who you are. What is it that makes you tick? And if those things that make you tick, and be honest with yourself, like you say, right? I cut through the crap and the bullshit, right? Be honest. If you are a fire sign, if you're a person that loves showing off in front of a crowd and buying your sparkly top and putting on your new lipstick and all of that, that's not happening. No one's going to see you. No one cares. That's not going on, right? So how can you find a sense of self-worth and self-value? How can you find a different way to be seen and to be heard, right? Because it's not going to be the old way. Now, for those of us that are really different, for us introverts, for the empaths, for the people that never really liked all of that, Okay, now's your time to settle into it's okay to not go to the Christmas party. There's no FOMO because there's no Christmas party, right? It's okay to not have to go and buy another dress because people saw you in the same one last year. Because guess what? You don't have to go anywhere, right?
Yay!
So those intuitives and empaths and introverts, how can you nurture yourself and use this year off, right? To really build up your strength, your resilience, your health. How can you go on a more spiritual journey? How can you perhaps change the traditions in your family so that you're not in that consumerism, FOMO mode, but you maybe try and do something different with your friends and family this year? Like, what's a different way that you can celebrate this quietness, this switching off time, right? How can we embody that in our families rather than trying to make it the same way that it should have been? No, embrace the new way that it can be.
This is beautiful, because the first thing that came up was, because I'm a little bit in between, so I love.
That's called an ambivert, by the way. That's an ambivert. I'm the same. I can get into my leonine energy, but then I have to go back into my Piscean watery mode to recover.
Absolutely. You know what? Exactly the same. Sometimes I'll go, yay, and then next bit I'm like, okay, I need to like just, and I know
hide under a rock.
Yeah. And sometimes like I'll go up for, and I don't know about people who are watching this as well, you might want to go out for a walk, just kind of like clear your energy. There's a lot of stuff going online as well, isn't there, at the moment? There's a load of stuff going off online. You might feel like at first you're like, yay, and the next minute you're like, no, it's a little bit too much. But yeah, the first thing that came up as you were saying that was lights. How can you make Christmas different? Lights.
Exactly. And it's about simplifying things. Let's stop overcomplicating. Let's take this time of the blankness in the diary, right? To not just fill it, not just allow the universe to fill, like the universe hates the void, right? So if you don't take control, and I use this, I've written a few books, and I use this as this book analogy, right? So you are now the author of your book, right? Imagine that you open your book of life, and on the one hand, it's all filled with everything that from your past lives, whatever you believe, right? It's all filled up until now, this moment. Everything's been written in there for you. And if you look on that next page, it's blank. Now, the universe will find a way to fill that for you. Or you can decide to create your own reality right now. You can decide to create your own Christmas traditions with your family right now. You can decide how to fill that page of your life moving forwards. You can choose for 2021 how you want that to pan out right now. You have the power to do that. Okay, so you don't have to fill it with the same old whatever as has gone before. You don't have to be defined by that anymore. That doesn't have to be your tradition. It doesn't have to be your reality. That doesn't have to be the way you want to spend your money. It doesn't have to be the way you want to bring up your children. You can transform your life right now by choosing what to put on that page in your book of life. How do you want your reality to be tomorrow? Right? If you're missing something, if you feel like you're missing something, that connection with your family, or that connection with your friends, or that, fun element of not having a party to go to, whatever, think about that, journal on that. What is it you're missing right now in your reality? And find a way to think outside the box to create that online Zoom party, whatever. There are different ways.
There's always a way, isn't there?
Always a way.
There's always a way. I was thinking yesterday, I just messaged my best friend, and I don't know about anyone who's watching this, even just messaging someone, isn't it? I suppose. Messaging like one of your most craziest, but the ones who are most in sync with you, where you are. And it's just so beautiful getting together with people. I know you can only get together with one person outside of your house.
You know, but online you can get together with many
You
people.
can get,
and
yeah.
you know, I know that connection isn't the same as the actual physical connection, but you know, use this as an opportunity. For example, in the show that I'm doing, one of the mums said, oh my goodness, it's amazing. Her daughter's grandparents who live in South Africa are going to, for the first time, actually see her in a nativity show because they can join on Zoom.
And that's wonderful, isn't it? There's so much, you know, obviously there's a lot been going on, but what you're sharing here is that there's so much to celebrate.
There's so much to celebrate, and it's about embracing the new way, rather than being afraid of social media, rather than being afraid of technology and like, oh, on screen time all the time. Well, make that screen time viable, make that screen time valid, make that screen time count, use this opportunity to learn something. I remember when I was a single mom, right, and I first got divorced and my boys were little 10 years ago, you know, and Christmas was just amazing, you know, and I loved it. But I said to my ex-husband at the time, do you know what, in order for them to go to, you know, the reindeer thing and the Santa thing and the panto and the this and the that and the show and the blah, 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 blah. When I worked it all out, it came to about £1,000. And I said to him, you're going to have to help support me with this, right? You weren't aware that this was all the things that we did in the run up to Christmas, but it is. And I couldn't believe it when I costed it out. So imagine, what would you do for your family now with that £1,000 that you're not spending because you can't?
Wow.
Because that's how much, as a single mum, I had to find, right?
Wow.
Because my husband turned around and he said, no, I'm not giving you £500 towards that. They'll just have to not do it.
Oh, God.
Okay. So what would you do? And I wasn't like taking them to Lapland, right? We were just going to local things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm not talking about the most amazing Christmas experience. I'm talking about just all the little things that we love to do. So now you can't do those things. What could you do? The value of £1,000, which you might think, I don't have £1,000 yet, but it's £1,000 you would have found to spend if everything were open, right? What would you do with that money? I'm gifting it to you now. Here you are.
So, I mean, I know for whatever you decide is obviously for you, for who's watching this. For me, I think we would just go on holiday. So, but yeah, or even just put some away.
Exactly. So you could actually start your fund. So what you would have spent on Christmas, you can start saving, right? This is our holiday fund. This is our investment fund. This is our fun fund. This is our clothing fund. Whatever it is that means something to you. When lockdown lifts for 2021, what could you do with that money that otherwise... And you know, people will say, well, I don't have the money, but you would have found that money. You would have gone in debt. You would have found that money because 25th of December is looming, and your kids, you would have been taking yourself off or your children off to do X, Y, Z. Don't tell me you wouldn't have done that, because I managed to do that as a single mom. I know you would have done that.
Well, I know for possibly people who are watching this, I know for me, we just went to smaller things. So one of the things that I've always wanted to do was actually go to one of the beautiful houses around here. Now, we only went to the Christmas market.
Yeah.
Because obviously to go inside the house was just astronomical money.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've always wanted to do, in fact, if you did give me that money, in fact, if the universe gives me that money right now, I know that I would go to that house as a one house as a one-off. That would only be part of the money, 69 quid.
Yeah, there you go. Spa, cream tea, whatever, right? But, you know, the point is, start celebrating not just what we do have, not just the opportunities that we can embrace right now, but start celebrating what it is that we're allowed to let go of. That we don't have that pressure to spend the £1,000 by the 25th of December. We don't have to get the big gifts. We don't have to have the extravagance and all the crap that comes with that, all the pretense and the bullshit and the being with people we don't want to be around and smiling and and random conversations and the excessive drinking and eating. Thank goodness we don't have to have that. Give some money to charity that you would have spent on all that crap.
Yeah, you know, as you say it, that is so true. Christmas is so different for, for many people this year. And you know what? I am more excited than what I've
Yeah, more
for
exciting.
Christmas.
If we can get back to those old traditional ways as well, the stocking fillers that are the things that would be hard to
Yeah.
find, right? Or the notes, or the handmade cards, or the little gifts that children have created and wrapped up themselves with, the paper and the brown paper and the string, right? You can get back to old traditional ways, and play, the parlor games, the blind man's buff and Monopoly and all these things. And it doesn't have to be keeping up with the Joneses anymore, because nobody's putting that stuff on social media. There is no Joneses.
And
It's
so
just
true.
you in your bubble, in your unit.
And that's so true. My kids want like things like well, they won't watch this, but things like Jenga and chess and all those things. And I just think, yeah, why not?
Fantastic.
Because they're just great. We play dominoes and stuff. And I'm sure it's going to be the same for people who are watching this as well.
That's it. And you can even make your own games. When I was a child, I used to love making board games. So you could make board games ahead of Christmas to play at Christmas.
You know what, even just speaking to you right now, and for anyone who's watching this, Claire is so amazing at what she does. She was telling me about her new book, Rainbows and Lollipops, just what she got during lockdown, and got a few children together and they created a book together. And just, Claire, you just create so many wonderful things, and you have so much intuitive nature around things. And that's why it's just so beautiful to even just talk about these things, because a lot of people won't even be thinking like this.
No, I mean, I had no idea we were going to actually talk about this, but it's something I feel kind of like passionate about, really, is like, how can we make the most of seeing all of this as an opportunity? And and as an educator, what can our children take out of this? What values can we teach our children now? Not just our family values, but for ourselves, if we're light leaders, if we're light warriors, like, what kind of conscious conversations can we begin to seed? Right? This time of darkness, this is a time of going inwards, right? If you think about it from an energetic perspective, it's a time of going inwards, ready for the spring when the new things blossom. So how are you tilling the land? How are you getting rid of the weeds, right? How can you make a new garden for yourself, right? For your family? What seeds can you start planting now? Seeds of kindness, seeds of compassion, seeds of goodwill, seeds of community, right? Seeds of charity, seeds of, what can you start planting now, which in the springtime, when we're allowed to come out again, sort of thing, come out again. But what can you put into practice now, even if it's to get into the habit of meditating with your children, journaling with your children, cooking with your children? But as you're doing that, you're talking about the nutritional goodness. Maybe you can pray or Reiki your food or your water and be grateful for each glass of water that you drink in your house. Like, just build in little kind of tiny ways of raising that vibration through gratitude, through conscious conversation, through quietude, right? Through reflection, through you can do an activity together, but in silence, right? You can doodle and draw together in silence, and you can find a new way of bonding, right? You can even do this on Zoom in silence with beautiful music in the background. As a group, as a community, you could say, well, let's all get together and just do some Zen doodling. Let's do some drawing. Let's see what comes out. Let's take 10 minutes. Let's have a little prayer, lift the vibration, put on some beautiful high vibrational music, which is on a high frequency of 500 hertz or above, and just get anybody on a blank piece of paper. What you do, you start and you don't take your pen off until intuitively you finish, and then you share your pictures, and you'll be like, wow, look what we've done as a group. How, like, that costs nothing but time and a little bit of imagination, a little bit of creativity to want to do it.
I think that's amazing, because even though we have time. That's the thing.
We have time. This is what we've been gifted.
The moment. We have time. And a lot of people go, well, I don't have time. But at this moment, we do have time. And as you said, sometimes we're trying to fill that time as well. Whereas we don't really need to fill that time. And what you said, I mean, about just about sitting in silence together. I know my son has the silent game. So my littlest son, he made up this game, and you have to sit in silence. And
I love him already.
Is out. so the first person who talks, you talk, you're out. So we just sit there for ages, like. But it's so good. It's so good.
That's beautiful. But you see, if you took that one step further, you could actually sit opposite each other, right? And you could actually look at each other, not like to, not the who blinks first, but you could actually send intuitive messages to each other. You could actually sit and look at your son in his eyes and actually send to him, I love you. I love you. I love you, in those moments of silence.
That's so beautiful.
And you could tell him ahead of time, that's what I'm going to send you. You could even say to each other, right, let's fold up and tell each other what messages we're going to send each other, right? And you could fold it up in a little piece of paper and put it in the middle between you. And he could do it too. And it doesn't matter if the writing's misspelled or anything, that doesn't matter. It's the message. And you say, well, don't tell me, it's a secret. We'll open it at the end. And then you sit opposite each other and he'll be sending you, you're the best mummy, or whatever he comes up with.
I love that.
Leave that gift. Who wants to buy something from Amazon when you can do that for free?
And I love that. And I bet you do the because I know sometimes I sit with them and I'll put my hand on them and just send love. Not healing or anything like that. I'll just open my heart and just sit. Just open my heart and just sit with them.
Yeah.
With my heart open and just.
That's it. Heart to heart connection. Send telepathy. Next form of communication, right?
So beautiful.
We don't need stuff, but you can do that. You can do that with a community. You can do that online with your family. You can do that on FaceTime. You can find ways to connect which are high vibrational, and they're actually. People will say, "But Claire, you seem to know these things. How do I know what to do?" It's about remembering the old ways. We all have this inside us. It's about remembering before the consumerism and the noise and the clutter, right? It's about this going back quietly and thinking, okay, when I was, sitting around a campfire with my ancestors, how did I communicate with my child? How did my grandmother communicate with me? We've all had that in our past lives. So just simply go back to that place and remember. It's probably through music, song, storytelling, and art.
And so different. Well, it's not so different, is it? Because, it's some of the stuff we do now, but we just don't. It's almost rushed, I think, sometimes for many of us. Almost like a rushed premise, isn't it? Hurry up and let's get you to bed and try and get everyone done and dusted.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really need to be.
It doesn't need to be. For what? You're not going anywhere in the evening.
No.
What are you going to do? Watch the crap old telly? Like, take half an hour extra at bedtime. Eke it out. Like, it doesn't matter. Why? Oh, they have to get up in the morning. What? To be homeschooled and start half an hour later? It's not a big deal.
It's so beautiful that you're actually talking about this, because it just makes me think of, like, at nighttime, my husband works nights, and one will be in one bed and then the other one's in the other bed, and I'll lay down on the floor in the middle and we'll do like a little gratitude list, and Daddy's going first, and then I'll read a story to both of them. That's why I need to get your book, so I can read a story to both of them.
Yeah.
And it's just a really nice time that we spend together, and they're all smiling and stuff, and
beautiful.
And then they just turn around and just go to sleep, just really relaxed.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Really relaxed. There's no, I don't want to go to sleep yet.
No, beautiful. And the thing is, my boys are older now, so please, just enjoy and adore and respect and these times and create these times, because you know, they grow up, they grow old, they move out, they leave home. And you have to do what you can with what you have, with what you know, with what, you know, right now. And just know that these times for you with families are so precious. And although they're not the same as they were before, because you can't do XYZ and the reindeer and the Santa Claus and the show and the panto and the which cost £1,000, you can do something so much more beautiful, because you've got the presence of yourself is the gift without the distraction. You see, you're not allowed to get away with it like I was when my boys were 7. Distraction. You have no distraction. So you have to be fully present for your children. There's no running away from it. But actually, I've come to learn through all the parenting courses I've done and everything else, that that is the greatest gift, to see your children in their uniqueness, in their special way, and to be fully present for them, to create little special moments which become memories, which are the memories which then help to get them into adulthood, which help them to lift their own vibration, to have that knowledge that they've been seen and heard as children. That time goes in a flash. And that is the gift that COVID has given us as humanity, is to show up fully for ourselves and for our loved ones, and to see people for who they really are and what they're bringing to the table. That is the gift of this pandemic. Wow. So embrace that, use this time. You're so lucky.
You know what, it's so true. We are so fortunate, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, but we are really, really fortunate as human beings. Really fortunate. And we're really fortunate to listen to this and to listen to what you're saying. I'm learning so much. I always learn so much. Anyway.
Thank you. My 5 top tips, by the way, I better quickly tell you what they are. So it's an acronym called Be You, as in be yourself, right? BEYOU. So I'll just whiz through them because we've got to hop off shortly. And I'm sure many, many people, you know, many coaches, transformational coaches, healers, light workers, light warriors, like, you know this already. So I'm going to whiz through it, right? Because I'm not teaching grandma to suck eggs, but I feel we all need to hear it, including myself. I will listen to this on replay and listen to my own advice, which is often the hardest thing to do, right? So be you. So the B is boundaries, right? Coming up for this season, Christmas period, with your work-life balance, kids, families, who you can see, who you can't see, all of that. Boundaries. Set your boundaries, be true to yourself, know what you can do, know what you can't do, know when you're being overly extended, right? Boundaries is very important, and within boundaries comes having your own routines. And you know this as a health practitioner, you know, about your exercise, about your diet, right? About, I have my rule of 10,000 steps, 10 glasses of water, 10 minutes of meditation. That's me done. I can't fit anything else. I do that every day. Consistency is key. And that helps you with those boundaries. That also leads on to the next thing in the BU. So BE, E is for expectations. So once you have those boundaries in place, and you fitted in what you need to do to really thrive, then you can manage your families and friends and colleagues' expectations. So much so that my boys actually say to me now, Mum, you haven't been for your walk. For goodness sake, go, because you're a nightmare, right? You need your walk. And I'm like, yes, I need my walk. They're like, go for your walk. So you manage your family's expectations, you know, with your spouse or your in-laws or your outlaws or whatever it is. No, I'm not available from 2 till 3 because that's when I do my yoga. That's it. That's in my diary. That's for me. I'll talk to you after that. The world's not going to fall apart if you don't show up in that 1 second, right? You are in charge. Like we said with writing your book of life, you're in charge. So start being in charge, put in those boundaries, put in those expectations, stand in your power, make sure that you don't get burnt out. So as in the U bit, so the Y, which you probably know I'm going to say, is about yourself. It's about putting yourself first. That is not selfish. That is actually showing love, right? That's showing love to your family, to your friends and your colleagues, because you're putting yourself first so that you can then show up in the best way, as the best version of yourself for other people. You cannot serve from an empty cup. We all know that. I don't even say you serve from a full cup. You serve from a full saucer. The cup has to overflow, and you're serving from the saucer.
Love that.
Right?
Love that.
We're not serving from a full cup. We're serving from an overflowing cup, which is filling the saucer. Then you show up for other people, colleagues, friends, clients, whatever. Not until then, not until you are overflowing with your heart full, because you've looked after yourself with exercise, diet, nutrition, right? Getting rid of the toxicity, doing things that light you up, right? So important. Then in the O, Y-O-U, the O is others. They come after you. Right? They come after the boundaries, after the expectations, after the showing up for yourself. Then you have the others in your life, your loved ones, your nearest and dearest, your children. They do not come above you, because if you are ill, and I was ill, I was burnt out, suicidal, took a 2-year recovery, you are not showing up for your best in the best way for your children. You're not serving them. And you're also showing them that you are unworthy. You are undervaluing yourself. How can your children, when they grow up, believe me, they grow up, how can they respect you if you don't value yourself? Why should they? Why should they respect you if you don't value yourself? So you show up for yourself first, and then for others. And then the other one, the U, is to use the word no.
I like that.
Not yes.
No.
No, we're not doing that. No, thank you. No.
Nada.
Not available for that. Not showing up on that day. Not interested. Not buying. Goodbye, email. Unsubscribe, delete. No more bullshit. No more overwhelm, right? Get rid of the clutter. Get rid of the chatter. Make space for yourself and then for your family.
Oh, I've got to say, that is fantastic.
Bit of a rant, sorry.
No, but the thing is, right, it's okay. It didn't even sound like a rant. It sounded like you so passionate. And the thing, at the end of the day, everything that you've said is completely right. And, it's very important that we have our own boundaries. That's the whole reason for doing the social media switch off. So when this goes out, I'm actually not online. You're kind of away. You're away, looking after you. It's important that, what you said there, it's important that you're managing your expectations, that you're looking after yourself. How can you look after yourself when then it makes it difficult to look after others, doesn't it? Exactly. And not only that as well, I'm not sure if you're in the same agreements with me, but as I see it, if we carry on doing the same things over and over again, our children end up that way too. And that's just coming from my own personal experience, that we can start to see it in our children as well.
That's right.
If I remember looking at one of my children one day, and he's having a tantrum, and I was like going, well, I don't know why you're having a tantrum for. Then it must have been about an hour later, and my husband didn't do something, and I was having the same tantrum. And then I kind of like stopped and was like, oh, okay, this is where they get it from.
I've just done a talk on a podcast with Kai Graham for the Teen Toolbox, and the title of my talk actually was called Model the Behavior You Want to See, right? That's exactly what you're talking about. So our children are our best mirrors, right? So if your children are effing and blinding, they're lazy, they don't do this, they don't do that, they're eating chocolate, they're smuggling crisps into their bedroom and all the rest of it. It's like, well, how can you stand there and go, well, you've got to eat your cabbage and you've got to eat and then you're sitting in front of Coronation Street, stuffing your face with Quality Street chocolates. Like, hello?
Absolutely.
So, look at what is going on, because your reality is a reflection of what you're bringing to the table. And if you don't like it, there's no judgment from me, but you know that you can change it, right?
That's so true, and I think it shows us, I'm definitely on the same wavelength as you with this as well, because it's almost like double standards.
Exactly.
It's almost like double standards. If I'm asking my kids, don't hold that phone for so long, or anything like that, then I need to be seen as not holding it as long. So there are, you have then set times, right? But it is very, it's about becoming aware, isn't it? Really, at the end of the day, noticing what you're doing.
And this is what this lockdown has given us, this time to become aware of what's actually going on in our family homes, what's actually going on in our own lives, what's going on in our own minds, what's going on in our own habits, right? What's going on in our own kitchens, in our own bedrooms, right? What's going on in our own healthcare regime. You have got time. Might not have the money, might not have the same hair dye available or whatever, but like you've got time to actually think about these things and think about, well, how could we do stuff differently? Getting your partner more involved, right? They can no longer say, oh, I'm commuting 4 hours a day and, I'm only at home when the children come, only come home when the children are in bed. Well, no, you're not. You're here all day. So you do lunchtime. I'm going for a walk, right? Like, no, change it, flip it. If you're cross and frustrated and angry about how things are in your life right now, good. It gives you something to look at, gives you something to on, gives you something to reflect about, and it gives you something to change and take action on.
So true. So true. Where do we find you? Pop all your links on.
I'll be hiding under my rock after this interview.
No, don't ever hide under your rock, right? This is what we need to hear.
So basically, I'm on all social media. I'm on LinkedIn as Clare Ford, teaching and parenting expert. I'm on Instagram as the Switched On Mum. I've got a Facebook page, Coaching and Teaching with Clare Ford. My new academy is going to be launching in January. That's going to be called switchedonglobal.com. So excited about that. And I also have a community on Facebook called the Home Education Hub, free community for parents, anyone who happens to have to teach their child at home. So you don't have to be like a full-on 100% homeschooler. You could be flexi-schooling, not sure, in lockdown, out of lockdown, wanting to support kids with their homework. Like, I don't have any particular policy about, whether your child should go to Eton or whether you're a no schooler or a world schooler. It doesn't matter to me. It's about how do you support your child's learning to unlock their potential. So that's all going on in the Home Education Hub. So if you just basically Google Clare Ford, no I in it, Clare Ford, you will find me. Like, just connect, let's have a conversation, reach out to me on Messenger. And I love connecting and having a chat with people. So yeah.
Oh, you know what? And I will pop Clare's links all below here as well. So you can easily get to find her. And she is definitely worth finding.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm taking anyone who watches this is going to resonate with something while watching this, for sure. There's always something that, even if we feel like we know it already, there's always something in here. Even, like for me, there's always stuff. I think we just keep learning until we go. And that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Learning is a lifelong journey. And, my mission is to support families with their learning, not just the children, the mums as well. In the Switched On Global Academy, there's courses for mums as well, right? And it's all about education, empowerment, and elevation, and about modeling the behavior we want to see. If we show our children that we're working on ourselves, that we're elevating ourselves, that we're learning, that we make mistakes, and that's okay because we rise up from that and we become a better version of ourselves, well, then they are going to want to do the same thing too.
Absolutely. It's empowering. You know what? Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for everyone for watching this week. So this is me, Trina Kavanagh-Thomas, on the Social Media Switch Off, premiering every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Can't wait to see you again. So thank you very much. Thank you, Clare.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.